So welcome to episode 7 of Lost Summer, featuring Matt Quann, founder of OrNot bicycling apparel. So really excited to have him here today, talk about cycling in Marin County, obviously, and then the best technical clothing and why you should ride your bike or not. So before we give that little introduction, we just need a little reminder of why we are here today. So Christopher Kaiser, my lovely co-host, is gonna break that down for us. I did it today.
Oh, now I'm the sidekick. Excellent. The tables have turned. And Matt gets to witness it. Everybody, this is a celebration of cycling in Marin County, obviously, an appreciation for Marin County Bicycle Coalition and to raise funds for the organization as a bicycle advocacy group. But also there is COVID relief involved in this as well. We are raising money by asking you to go to marinbike.org/lostsummer and partake in the giveaway. Every $10 that you enter to win gets you an entry. There's a lot of prizes, including prizes from Easton and from Matt's company, which he's so graciously donated from OrNot Cycling Clothing. And also the grand prize has been provided by Mike's Bikes here in San Rafael. And it is a 2021 Specialized Pro Carbon Model Diverge, which is a gravel-specific bike, a venture bike, if you will. 700C wheels with 47 mil tires. It's equipped with Eagle Axis. It is a sweet, sweet ride. So please contribute and know that 25% of all proceeds are going to go to the Canal Alliance right here in San Rafael, California, and also for Marin Senior Services. So it's a three-pronged attack in this fundraiser. And please, while you're watching today, go ahead and open up a little window, go to marinbike.org/lostsummer and find the contribute button and support this advocacy group and help us out. Thank you very much. With that, let's introduce today's guest. Matt Quann is a cyclist I had the pleasure of riding with about a year and a half ago. We were discussing just before we went live. I had no idea until doing a little research on him for this interview today what an OG cyclist he is. He started way back in the 80s, a huge cycling fan, and he's been apparently at the edge of all the cycling trends to this point, and recently started a clothing company. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to let him speak for himself. Matt Quann, welcome to the Lost Summer Celebrity Cycling Series.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So do you think the Diverge, the new Specialized Diverge, are they going to have them? Are they even in stock? Like if you win it, did they set one aside? Because
I think they set one aside because the entire industry is sold out right now.
Because that's like a pretty hot bike right now. So whoever wins, lucky them.
You know, they could just flip it on eBay and buy 2 of them once the stocks are back up.
Yeah.
So actually, let's speak to that real quick. We'll skip your intro about you. We'll get back to that in a second. But segue into the state of the bike industry. I went on your website today, wanting to get one of your amazing mini bike or bar bags. Sold out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so with the shutdown, during the full-on shutdown times, production kind of stopped, and then at the same time, everyone started dusting off their old bikes or buying new bikes, or just they couldn't go do spin classes anymore. I don't know what, but everyone started riding bikes, and people that ride bikes need things to ride with their bikes. So, I mean, everyone has just been across the board, I think, pretty busy, which is really cool to see more people on bikes.
It's really fun. I mentioned earlier that you're an OG cyclist, and I heard on the Gravel podcast before that you started during the era of Greg LeMond. So let's go back to your history a little bit in cycling as a boy who fell in love with a bike. Tell us how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like a cliche, but I got in, for the most part, I got into cycling, really into it via the wide world of sports, on TV, where they had these pre-recorded segments of the Tour de France. And, You could watch it on the weekends at like 2:30, from like 2:30 to like, 2:45, and they'd have these condensed segments. And
I was right there with you. It drove me nuts. They would have
yeah.
20 minutes, and 10 minutes of that was about the local cuisine. And I'm like, get back to the race.
Yeah. So that, and so I got into it then, and then, that was like the Greg LeMond heyday. And, I watched him win the tour with his aero bars and, his fluorescent yellow kit and the Oakleys and just all the stuff. And it was just so, cool. And I was like really into it. And before that, I had always been a skateboarder. So it was back then, skating was weird, back in the 80s. It wasn't like a normal sport. And then cycling also super outcast weird, but in a different way because it had all these rules around it. So that was kind of my entry into cycling.
And here you are all these years later, and cycling's your living. I'm glad you corrected yourself and said that cycling was not cool. Greg LeMond was cool in the cycling world, but all us old cyclists, you have to explain to people like, no, this was not cool. We were a bunch of outcasts, right? So, I mean, you're a cool dude. That's coming from me, so don't take it for what it's worth. But
thank you.
But you definitely have a very cool brand. I guess we can make a couple jumps. How did you end up starting a clothing company? What inspired that? That's a big jump for you.
Yeah, so there's a couple jumps in there. One of them, well, obviously, so I've been racing. So I started racing when I was in high school. So just a little bit after the whole Greg LeMond thing. And I had kind of been racing ever since, up until, I don't know, I mean, like I still kind of race, but I'd really been into it. So racing was kind of like one of my sports that I was really into. And at the same time, I had been a graphic designer forever. And when I was on all these different teams, I was always tasked with designing the kits for the team, designing the clothing. And the team that I had been racing on, right when I started OrNot, was sponsored by just this really embarrassing sponsor, and we had to have it like just like all over the kit. It was like the title sponsor, and they were the only one, and it was like, make it here, put it on the legs, put it here. It was just like, make it big, and it was just really embarrassing. So I was like, I can't be the only person that doesn't want to have these massive logos on their cycling clothing or on any of their clothing, really. So why not just make clothing with no logos on it, and focus on the design and the design language and the branding being void of having the logo. So that was kind of the catalyst for it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense for it. It is funny because we went through the same era, it sounds like, in cycling, where I used to have, we looked like a bunch of NASCAR guys with Dayglow, and I would have to explain to people back then, oh, these are actually my sponsors. This is what I do for a living. They're like, you dress like that for a living? I'm like, well, And if we look at our closets, our boxes of old kits, how gaudy and really like intense corporate stuff. And now the appreciation we have for clean lines, nice cuts and silhouettes. Look at some of the race jerseys you used to wear, how baggy they would seem by today's standards. And your line OrNot is, I don't want to say it's of the zeitgeist, but really it's the branding and the colors in your brilliant art direction is really something that I'm really happy cycling has turned to, and specifically gravel cycling, which is what I'm really interested in, how this segment has inspired what you're doing at OrNot right now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because just cycling in general was kind of void of any good design for a long time. It was kind of like driven by this kind of like Euro-centric, just very kind of like super sporty design, and it was just bad, just kind of the super gaudy Euro kits, and that kind of drove everything, until Rafa was really the one that they were the first ones to kind of make design sort of a pillar of their company, and of the clothing that they make, and of their branding, and of everything. So I mean, Rafa really sort of was the instigator in all of this. And I think they kind of went a little bit too hard into it. You know, they leaned a little bit too hard into their whole sort of branding with like the Rafa dramatic and like, this is so hard. And, you know, they definitely had it, you know, and I mean, if you think back to the old Rafa stuff, it was like, you know, this is all, you know, you couldn't smile and no helmets and like, oh, this is,
I can't tell you how many hours I rode in black and white and in slow motion with beard stubble, because, you know, I bought into the whole
right.
brand.
Right, exactly. But I mean, you know, I give Rafa credit every time because, you know, they were the first ones to really sort of pave the way.
Yeah, full props to Simon and company. They really did change the look for us who are not lining up for the crits every weekend. And ironically, the whole name and the idea behind the brand stems from old school racing, from, you know, the Raphael team, yeah, but they really turned it into something special, and it's nice to see all these young designers and creators taking it to another place. You also did a fair bit of video production for your brand. You're a graphic designer, but you do some photography and video as well, don't you?
Yeah. You know, I had been, you know, a graphic designer forever. I had a practice for about 15 years, I guess, 15, a little bit more than that. And at the tail end of my graphic design career, I was doing exclusively motion graphics. So I was in the video world. So yeah, and right when I launched OrNot, I mean, I started it as a side project, as a way for me to get out of the office, so I didn't have to be in front of my computer to go and shoot like videos, cycling videos and photos. Like, this is kind of like an excuse to get out. Ironically, now I'm back inside. Not all the time. Not all the time.
You're up in the mountains right now, I'm guessing?
I am. Yeah. I'm up in Truckee right now.
All right. Where'd you ride today?
I haven't ridden yet today.
What?
After this,
You look a little off balance. That's what it is.
It's Truckee. It's nice all the time. It's like you can ride in the morning. It's kind of freezing in the morning, but you know, you can ride in the evening and it's not foggy and it's not windy. It's just nice.
All right. You live in the city normally in your regular life?
Yeah. I'm in San Francisco.
So how many days a week are you riding over Marin?
I mean, pretty much every day that I ride, I'm riding in Marin. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'll do a park ride every once in a while. But for the most part, you know, I live like in the Upper Haight. So it's pretty quick to get to the bridge. And yeah, Marin is just pretty nice.
So what's your?
It's funny. Oh, sorry, Caroline, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
I said, what's your go-to bike for going to Marin?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, you know, when everything was really shut down and the roads were closed in the Headlands, I had like this whole road thing. I was like, all right, road bike every day, because there were no cars and you could just go out and ride your road bike, and it was so quiet. It was like having paved gravel paths, you know, it was like gravel riding with pavement. So that being said, once the cars were introduced again, I've been back on my gravel bike a lot more. So my Stigmata is kind of my go-to bike.
What's your favorite route? What's like you need to get across the bridge, escape mentally and physically? What do you like to do?
Yeah, it's you know, Bobcat Miwok, the gravel loop right around there, if I have the time. You know, because it's just enough to kind of get out, get far away, do a nice loop. And then back to the city. I usually have stuff going on, so I can't get out on really long rides.
Yeah, that's fantastic though. You know, it's Bobcat and Miwok are really, as I said before, physical and mental escapes that are so incredible. You can be that close to the bridge, but you're in the wilderness, you feel the sea breeze, and the vistas are fantastic. What are some of the other gravel rides you do when you really get deep into Marin County? I think the day you rode with us, did you come do Mount Vision with us?
No, I came out on the pre-ride for the gravel
for the Adventure Revival.
Yeah. And then so we did, I think that's what it was. We'll just say that's what it was. Because I did that, and then I decided to peel off with just a couple people and take Bowfax all the way back.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And I was coming off a broken hand, and I was just kind of, anyway, Bowfax back wasn't the best idea. But yeah, some of my other favorite routes though have to include Laurel Dell, getting back, on that part of Tam.
That's a fantastic bit of road to ride.
As well as Hukuiku, kind of getting over there. It just seems to be kind of quiet over on that side of Tam.
Yeah, we're really fortunate, and we talk about this week after week. We like to probe everyone for what their favorite Marin County rides are. Hukuiku has not been mentioned yet, but it's a legendary ride. I tell you what, you take anyone from out of town for a ride on Hukuiku, and their minds will be blown. They're going to think that they just found Valhalla. And everything around it is so spectacular. For the uninitiated, for those of you who might be sitting in San Francisco right now and are looking at getting over to Marin County, find railroad grade, find Hukuiku. We have nice bike lanes and markings all over the place. And on a Saturday or Sunday, it's going to be like following the salmon upstream. You're gonna find plenty of people to show you the way. And if you don't find somebody, make sure you join Marin County Bicycle Coalition as a supporter. And there's new maps available, updated maps. They're nicely laminated, so they're sweat proof and rain proof. Do you have one of those maps, Mr. Quann?
I do. Wall? I've got a few of those maps.
Yeah. Are you a map guy?
My wife is, and we just have we have boxes of maps, and we just took them out to show our kids some maps. And yeah, we were like, oh, there's one, and here's another, and there's another, and yeah, so we definitely have those maps.
The kids are like, but I have that on my phone.
They're like, what? Like, can we draw on it? Like, what do we do? It's so big.
How
about the Pine Mountain? Pine Mountain
is a fantastic, talk about escaping. That is one where I legit, if I go by myself, I call my friend Tom Boss, who's bicycle advocate at Marin County Bicycle Coalition. I call him and say, if I'm not back if you don't hear from me by 5, call the sheriff and tell him I'm here because there's no phone signal back there. But it's fantastic. Have you ever ridden the Appetite Seminar on Thanksgiving Day?
No, I've never done it. I've always been just busy with, Thanksgiving stuff, but I know all about it.
Caroline, have you done that one?
I've done it. It's a good one. It's fun.
So 2 cool people, 1 bike nerd hasn't made it. So just for counting. Yeah. Caroline, you had something you wanted to ask?
Oh, it's good. We can move on.
Put you on the spot. I was stalling actually because I had something right in my head and I lost it. Tell us your favorite part about riding in Marin. I know I keep probing you for things, but what's the great deal about crossing the bridge?
Yeah. So in general, people. Well, I mean, obviously, San Francisco, when you're in the city, it's just kind of crowded, and just getting over the bridge as soon as you're in the Headlands, it's instantly different. The other big reason I think that most people end up riding in Marin is because it's just not as foggy there. It's often warmer. The summer is a little bit more like summer. So that's one of the main reasons that I often end up in Marin as well, just because it's warmer.
Crazy. I mean, like you literally go across the bridge and you're like freezing, and the fog is in, and you're covered, in head to toe and base and layers, and then you drop down into Sausalito and it's like, shoot, I have to shed literally everything I'm wearing right now. It's like 20 degrees warmer.
Yeah.
Hey, that brings me to something actually that, I don't want to push too much like the full endorsement of OrNot, but I dig what you're doing. And the mini bar bag is something that I'm sure even you as a dyed-in-the-wool roadie would have completely turned your nose up at if your bro showed up with one and the group ride. Like, what is that atrocity strapped to your bike? But now, like, because we live here and the climate changes so much, I tell my friends, never ride without a vest and some arm warmers. You never know when you're going to get in the fog. Like on Bolinas Fairfax Road that you rode, you can be socked in and soft and wet there. Tell us about the bar bag and what you keep in yours.
Yeah, so I've been riding in the summer. I do end up riding with the smaller bar bag. a lot more. And for me, what it does is it kind of opens up the ability to ride with, bibs and a long sleeve shirt or a t-shirt, just to kind of like be just a little bit more casual. It's just a little bit of a different feeling when you're riding and it's a little flappy in the wind, especially on gravel. For a road ride, I feel a little bit weird. I feel like that's like a lot of flapping, but for a gravel ride, it just kind of feels nice. So then, the mini, I put my phone in there, and then a little bit of food, and then a vest because it's always freezing on the way over. But that's
Trend this year. Like all of a sudden, I feel like everybody is now wearing baggy shirts with spandex, and I feel like no one's ever done that before. All of a sudden,
no.
it's a cool thing to do. I'm like, wait.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like this. Yeah. It's like, all right, I guess you don't need to wear, a bike shirt, with the pockets in the back. You can just go out and ride in a t-shirt. It's just, I think it just really feels different, right? Because your shirt physically flaps, you get air, down your chest. It just like feels different. It's like, wow, this is like kind of a different bike ride. I'm feeling different than I normally do in my, like my jersey. Yeah.
I think it's also, not to get too philosophical about it, but when we zip up that tight lycra jersey, it really does feel like we're putting on a uniform a little bit, and we're being part of the dogma from the Italian century of cycling, and this is our armor, this is our uniform. Even though it's armor, it's absurd. We're riding in our pajamas at 50 kilometers per hour down these hills, but the spirit, the mental change I have when I put on a baggy shirt and some baggy shorts, which is rare, because I look like a roadie regardless of what I'm wearing. But it really is a complete different feeling that I have when I meet up with my crew and we go and we ride. I think there's much more convivial, less let's smash each other to the top of the hill or race to the bottom of the hill spirit. And that's what I enjoy so much about these crews that we have now riding gravel. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's just like this big shift from cycling, kind of like what I was talking about before, with cycling being, so sporty and maybe serious and racing, to fun. Like these bikes are fun, and you can take them to cool places, and you don't have to kill yourself to get there. You can if you want to, but it's like this. It's a toy that is completely acceptable for grown-ups to just go out and play with every day. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. So really, the big question is, how much of the time is in a Hawaiian shirt with the spandex? Is that okay?
I mean, I don't judge.
As a 51-year-old guy who lives in Marin, I'm so happy to say I don't have a Hawaiian shirt, but I have lots of spandex. There is a Jimmy Buffett album on my iPhone though, so.
You just found your birthday present.
You're also supporting youth cycling. You support the San Francisco Composite mountain bike team. How did you get involved with them?
It's been a while. One of my friends was the coach of the team, and helped put it together, because they made a composite team because there weren't enough kids in any school in San Francisco to start their own team. So that ride with a bunch of high school kids. They do their practice in Golden Gate Park, and they'll just go and just like, oh, let me try this again. And like, they try to ride up something, they don't make it. And like, oh, let me try it again. And, they're kids, and it's really fun to ride with them. So that's kind of where that was born. And then, I mean, so when we were talking, you and I would kind of have this connection about, beginning, cycling when we were younger, and how cool it wasn't. Could you imagine having a high school mountain bike team?
Yeah.
It's so fun, because even the practices are like kind of fun. They do like, well, we're going to practice our starts, and then they're like, well, let's just go see if we can ride this thing. Let's see if we can ride this feature. At least at SF Comp, it's pretty chill. So it's a pretty cool after school sport.
It's so
That's fantastic.
other high school sport. I mean, the kids just are out there having so much fun. And I don't know if you've had a chance to go to any of the races, but it's like, it's the coolest thing. Like, everyone's so supportive. Everyone, is SF Comp, like, definitely, all these teams are just like you're just out, like, having fun with all your friends. And there's not really, like, yes, there's a competition, but it's not really a competition.
It's like a big camp out, right?
Yeah.
They just like camp and hang out all weekend and like, oh, there's some bike racing. It's pretty cool.
So you're in the mountains right now up in Truckee. You live in San Francisco regularly. How old are your kids?
I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old.
So you're looking at properties in San Anselmo, Fairfax area now, so they can race on White Hill School team. And am I not hitting it dead on?
No. I'm looking at how am I going to teach my kids when they go back to school, because they're going to be sitting next to me.
Well, you can teach them retail. That's also a trade is good trade. So.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, we're getting close to wrapping up here. Is there any message you wish to convey to your cycling brethren and sisters out there? Part of your ethos of the company. I mean, do you have an ethos written down anywhere for OrNot Cycling?
Yeah, I mean, an ethos. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's generally like you could follow the rules or not. The whole. You didn't ask me about the name, but the whole idea of the name is that it's very loose. It's or not. So I think you could follow the rules or not is pretty much the ethos. So this is I'll leave you with this. This is something that I've been doing a lot lately. When I have time and when it's nice out, I'll often ride over the bridge to Marin and ride up Bobcat or Miwok and find some cool rocks to hike over to and sit down and just hang out. When people go on hikes, they hike up a big hill and then they hang out. But when you go on a bike ride, you're often like, I'm riding the whole time and I make it to the top and then I go right back down. So I've been kind of making a practice of going for a ride, getting to the top or getting to a place that's cool and actually just kind of hanging out. So I encourage everyone to do that.
That's solid advice. That we, coming from racing backgrounds, all three of us, that's one thing that I've really appreciated living here is taking time to stop and smell the roses. And we're in a very fortunate place. So
definitely.
Caroline, any finishing words, passing words?
Because I have to do it. We haven't talked about food yet. Favorite snack?
Favorite burrito,
snacks.
favorite taco in Marin?
Oh, in Marin? Oh, so I hardly ever eat in Marin. This one time, so right before the COVID shutdown, a bunch of friends and we ended up on a big gravel ride, and we were actually over in Pine Mountain, and we were just all over the place. And we stopped at Super Duper in Mill Valley and got food there. And I think it was just so nice because A, I was really hungry, and B, I think it was the last time that I went somewhere and got food and actually ate it at the place. So it's like burned in my memory as like, oh, Super Duper, gravel ride, and then Super Duper. That's really like, you can't get any better than that. So not really, it's not really a good taco or a burrito, but it was pretty good that day. Yeah.
That do it for you, Caroline?
My snack question, I'm good.
Caroline, thank you very much for introducing us. Matt Quann, thanks for being here. Please sit patiently while I go through our sponsors one last time. Reminder, this is for Marin County Bicycle Coalition. Go to marinbike.org/last summer. Please contribute if you can. Enter the giveaway. We have fantastic prizes. Third prize, Easton handlebar and stem set. Second prize, Easton crank set. First prize, a pair of Easton 90 disc wheels. And the grand prize, a 2021 Specialized Diverge Pro carbon bike from Mike's Bikes. Thank you to all those sponsors. OrNot Cycling, Matt's business, is also part of this giveaway and the sponsor of the series. We're going on for a while. Please tell your friends about us. All these interviews are available on YouTube at a sort of slow production pace. Apologies there. But we thank everyone for joining us. Matt, you've been great. Look forward to riding with you again. Caroline, thank you very much. And to all of you, goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.